We have a mini solo episode today. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and here in Canada, the Canadian Mental Health Association is leading a campaign that's called Come Together. It's all about how stronger connections lead to better mental health. And so I felt guided to record an episode which was or is going to share some of the shifts that I found very helpful for my own mental health. Now, before we dive in, I do want to acknowledge that mental health can feel very heavy at times. So, if you are having any harmful thoughts or you are struggling in any way, please reach out for support. There are resources that we are going to link in the show notes. And I also want to say that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a licensed therapist. This is just my own personal lived experience. Hi, I'm Renee Walker, a mindset mentor, speaker, and lover of all things spiritual. I believe that at our core, we are all spiritually wired for love, peace, success, and abundance. Here on the podcast, we're diving into mindset, wellness, and business, but always through a spiritual lens. Let's just say we're going deep, but we're keeping it light. So let's elevate your life from the inside out, one conversation at a time. Welcome to Spiritually Wired. The first one is that I recognize that it is not just a mental issue, but that I was able to start seeing it as a full body at every level. So mental, emotional, physical, and energetic. So, what happened when I was able to actually start seeing it as in a holistic way, I recognized that it wasn't just in my mind. So I am someone who has suffered from anxiety. I'm feeling strong now. I'm in a good space. However, I did go through a period in my life where I was suffering from a lot of anxiety. I took some medication to help me. I did go to therapy, and all those things were very helpful for me. However, what was helpful is I before I would think that I could outthink it. And so I was really staying stuck in at the mind level. And when I began to understand that this was not just in my head, that it wasn't about outthinking it, that it actually lived this anxiety that I was experiencing was in my body, it was in my nervous system. It also was, a chemical reaction that was happening, right? This nervous system being activated. When I was able to understand that, what it did for me, and in coaching, there's a term that we say, like you zoom out. So I was able to zoom out and look at it very differently. So I wasn't faulting my thoughts. I wasn't stuck in at the level of my thoughts. And I was really able to start asking, like, not just what's wrong with me, but what does my body need right now? Like, how can I support my entire body? That shifted so much. And that is probably to this day, whether it's specific to mental health, but practicing self compassion and really always coming back to the question of what do I need right now? How can I love myself in this moment has been such a game changer, because what I need right now can be a walk outside, it can be calling a friend, it can be a laugh, it can be putting on some music and dancing, it can be rest, go having a nap. It can be so many different things, and that changes all the time. But really tuning into my body in a different way, in a deeper way, made a big difference in terms of my overall mental health. Another shift that was helpful was bringing awareness to my overall energy. So I'm talking about like the different levels before, right? So seeing that my mental health is not just in my mind, that it's beyond that, but also looking at it from an energy perspective, the inputs and the outputs of energy. So this is what I realized, that it was a capacity thing. And I'm not sure that we talk enough about it, because there's so many things that are like our energy. From the moment that we wake up, we are giving away our energy, and we're either giving it to people, we're giving it to our work, but also there's a lot of emotional energy. So when we're worrying about things, certainly if you are a parent and things are going on with your children, I mean, that takes up a lot of emotional energy. It's very draining, and it's not like you don't want to, you want to be there for them. But this is just the toll that it's silent, right? We don't always realize the amount of energy that we are giving away, that we are leaking, either through our emotions, through our thoughts, through actually giving it to other people. So you have that, then you have the other layers of just your regular commitments, your responsibilities, your schedules, and all of that stuff, right? That's when we start to feel drained. And where that ties into your mental health is that when you're feeling drained energetically, your capacity, your resilience is just not as strong. Your ability to react, or not react, but to respond to life. One of the biggest things when it comes from a spiritual perspective, or more even a mental perspective, is that we can't control the external circumstances that are happening in our life. We cannot control how other people are going to react. We can't control, oftentimes for many of you in your work environment, you can't control what's being asked of you. And so if we can't control the external environment, what we can control is ourselves. And so when we are drained, when we're noticing that we're giving away, when life happens, and life will happen, that's just part of being human, we don't have quite the same capacity, the same bandwidth to be able to respond in a way that serves us. So energetically, what fuels you, what drains you, and being very mindful and very intentional when you can. Again, as I said, there's certain things we can't control, but controlling the input and the output that you can control. And so surrounding yourself with people who are actually fueling you versus draining you. Putting yourself in environments that fuel you versus drain you. That's another big one as well. I mean, there's certain physical spaces, environments that I just know actually take away energy from me. And so if I am in a space where I am feeling stretched and I'm feeling maybe overwhelmed and there's a lot on my plate and my bandwidth isn't there, that's not the time to be actually putting myself out into certain environments or with certain people that I know will even stretch that more. So being mindful of that, being very aware, always comes down to awareness, this work. The more aware we are, the more that we can actually respond, the more that we can be intentional with our environments, both within ourselves and outside of ourselves. Another shift, and that was helpful, and this is one that is very much tied to the theme of the year, is connection. Because when it does, there is a connection between the heart and the mind. And at its core, right, it is the relationship that we have with ourself and the relationship that we have with other people. So let's first focus on the connection that you have with yourself. And why that's so important is one of my favorite explanations or favorite ways to explain what meditation is that it is about being your own friend. And so easily we can be friends to other people. We can ask them how they're feeling and actually wanting to hear what they're feeling. We can hold space for other people. We're not judging other people. We're not criticizing other people for their choices. Yet when it comes to ourselves, so often we're judging ourselves, we're criticizing ourselves, we're always in the space of lack, of focusing on all the things that we're not doing instead of all of the beautiful things that we are doing. So when I think of connection to myself, so much of that comes down to being my own friend in this moment, and again, not coming from pressure. And then connection with other people. One of our basic human needs is to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted for exactly who we are. And so holding space for other people, really being intentional to create connections. And I would invite you to bring awareness to the connections that you have in your life. And this is a place where I feel safe to be myself, to be seen, to be heard, and where I don't have to pretend and I don't have to wear a mask, or I'm not afraid of being judged for who I am. There is something so incredibly powerful when we can feel safe to be seen and know that this person is going to love and accept me for who I am. And when you recognize that you have those connections in your life, really honoring those connections and fueling these connections. And if you don't have them, know that it's okay. Open yourself up, set that intention to find the people that will give you that depth in connection. Because I do believe that we're not here to do this alone. And I know that it's such a big piece in the spaces that I create, whether it's the spiritually wired membership or the mastermind, but even this podcast here is a space for you to come and to know that you can be yourself, that this is not about trying to be someone else. And it is such an important piece to your mental health, is knowing I'm actually safe and I'm safe to be myself. So, my friends, yeah, when we are in this space of mental health, it is all about looking at it as a whole: your body, your mind, your heart, your thoughts, your relationships, your energy, the connections that you have with yourself, the connections that we have with other people. And instead of seeing it as trying to fix yourself more, how can I support myself? How can I love myself? And that changes the whole energy. One comes from more fear, more from lack, from something needs to be fixed. I'm not enough. I'm broken. Something needs to change, to I am whole. And how can I support myself? How can I love myself exactly as I am? How can I feel even safe with myself? So if you take anything from this, it's that this connection, the connection that you have with yourself, the connection that you have with others. And I will add very briefly the connection that you have with a higher power. That has been such a fundamental shift in not feeling alone. Not only have I been intentional with the community, the people that I surround myself with, but knowing that at my core, I am always connected with a higher energy, a higher power, God, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call this force, that as well changes the whole thing. It just invites so much unconditional love, because when I think of this higher power, what it is pure unconditional love. And knowing that I am always connected means that this unconditional love is always moving through me. And so in being very intentional to connect with this higher energy that is a part of me, right? So it's not that it's outside of me, I'm connecting to it, yet it is a part of who I am. That helps to strengthen all of it, right? To give me that perspective to zoom out once again and to see myself as a whole, as part of not being separate, but actually being connected, being one with this higher energy. Always ask for support. Thank you for listening to Spiritually Wired. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and leave a review. It really makes a big difference for the podcast. And if you're ready to dive deeper and join a soul-led community, come be a part of the Spiritually Wired membership. With weekly live lessons and a rich library of recorded classes, it's designed to support you every step of the way on your spiritual journey. We currently have a special offer where you can receive your first month for half the price. You can find a link in the show notes or come check it out at reneewalkerwellness.com. Until next time, remember to take some deep breaths. Remember that you are spiritually wired.